Hi everyone. Okay, what is VoiceOver doing? Well, let me step back. As a blind iPhone user, I use VoiceOver. And as a VoiceOver user and a newly hired person who I would like to, person who used a lot of tech in my job and might end up having part of my job be to write or record steps, instructions, tutorials on how to use the tech that blind people use. I figure maybe this is the kind of content, maybe this is a kind of content that I could create. And then when I saw a couple of videos about a couple of apps that I definitely could use more than I do use, and I might start using them more than I do use them, but all the not all the tutorials. The tutorials that I was watching, I'm sure there are better tutorials out there, but the ones that I happened to see were very geared toward people who are using their eyes, which I'm too blind to do, and so are millions of other people. So this is what brings me to the point where I'm like, I'm even creating this video in the first place. Now, and as I create more videos, I will get more concise about that and figure out how to talk about that and then easily segue into the point of the video, which is what happens when you decline a call and then no more than 30 seconds to a minute later, your voiceover just starts going crazy. He's just saying the same words over and over, he or she, they. I call mine a him because I have a male voice, the eloquence read voice. He's definitely my go-to. Sammy was my go-to for a long time. And then iOS 16 came out and they added eloquence. And I heard it on a friend's iPhone. I'm like, is that an iPhone? That sounds like eloquence. He's like, yeah, it is. They rolled it out with iOS 16. I'm like, okay, I might just have to upgrade my phone. And I've been using Reed ever since. But Reed just, I don't know, he went off on a drunken tangent for a minute. He was like saying the same words over and over again. He was like, I couldn't stop him. I would even open different apps trying to get him to like focus on something else, and he just keeps saying this stuff. I'm like, okay, I think I know what you're doing, but how do I turn this off? Because I am not going to have you do this all the time. So I did figure out. I knew what it was because I had watched a YouTube video about iOS 17, and I knew that this was coming. I didn't know how VoiceOver was going to respond to it. That's how VoiceOver responds to it. I don't like it. And I was like, I am not going to have you doing this. So I was able to, if he would stop trying to lock, I was able to figure out how to stop it. What is it and how do you stop it? It's live voicemail. That's what they call it. What's going on is you're getting a voicemail. And as the voicemail comes in, this text is coming up on the screen because it's trying to show you what's being said in real time, just in case there's some kind of critical emergency that you want to grab this phone before they finish leaving their message. I'm sure there are people who find that helpful. There might even be situations where I might find it helpful, but I don't think that I will. Dare I say it, there's no voicemail that can come in that's that urgent, that critical, that much of a, 911 emergency. I mean, in this case, excuse me, in this case, I knew what it was before that's why I declined it. It was just the automated phone call system for my local door-to-door transit system. It calls every night that I've got to ride the next day and tells me what my windows are for the following day. It could go to voicemail. Well, that didn't mean I wanted to read, like going crazy as it was trying to leave that voicemail. Well, I can't blame Reed. He was just doing what he was programmed to do. He was reading the text as it was coming in. I guess the screen kept refreshing and the same thing was coming up over and over again. I don't know quite how to explain that, but all I do know is I don't like it. So how do you stop it? If you're like me and you're like, I do not need my VoiceOver going crazy every time I can't answer a call. You go to settings.
One new item.
And it tells me there's a new item. It won't necessarily tell you that, but when you're in settings, you want to go to phone. See if I happen to.
Safari, news, messages, phone.
There it is. Double tap on phone.
Allow phone to access. Heading.
Swipe right past this.
Syrian search. Notifications. Incoming calls. Announce calls. My number. +1 calls. Heading. Wi-Fi calling. On. Calls on other devices. When nearby. Respond with text. But live voicemail. Off.
Okay, live voicemail or live voicemail as it said. It says off because I have turned it off already. When this whole thing happened, it said on. Maybe I should have turned it back on for the purposes of this tutorial. But suppose it said on. How do you stop it? You double tap on this.
Live voicemail. Switch button. Off.
It said live voicemail, switch button. Mine said off, but it would say on if you had just gone through that with your voicemail.
View a transcript of an incoming voicemail in real time and answer the call before it ends. Calling and data rates may apply.
That explains what it is. View a... What did it say? Actually, let me start by doing this.
Words. Speaking rate. Containers. Speaking rate.
Usually I hate the fact that the speaking rate is in here. But for your sake...
60%, 55%, 50%, 45%.
Let me just slow it down a few notches to make it so that you can actually hear what he's saying.
Live voicemail. Switch button. Off.
Live voicemail, switch button. Mine says off because I turned it off already. Yours might say on, especially if VoiceOver just went on a crazy rant 2 seconds after you declined a call.
View a transcript of an incoming voicemail in real time and answer the call before it ends. Calling and data rates may apply.
View a transcript of a voicemail in real time and answer the call before it ends. I personally, dare I say it, I don't know what kind of Code 3 emergency, if you're familiar with emergency lingo, you know what that means. Lights and sirens, life or death. Oh my God. Whatever you're doing, drop it and pick up the phone. Emergency. They could be calling about that I can't listen to with my ears in 30 seconds. I mean, even... and certainly VoiceOver going crazy like that is not going to make me any more able to answer the phone. In fact, I'm going to be trying to answer the phone and he's going to be like on this completely different page and I won't be able to get him to focus on opening the phone long enough to try to grab the call. So I just turned this off. And how you do that is...
Voice, phone.
Let me back out.
Back button. Phone. Live voicemail.
You go to settings, go to phone,
Button.
swipe over to live voicemail.
Silent live voicemail. Off. Button.
It says off, but it's going to say on if you're going through this. Double tap that.
Switch button. Off.
And as you double tap, it says live voicemail switch button. That's a toggle. That's a double tap, single finger double tap toggle. So if I double tap that now,
On.
I just turned it back on because it was off to begin with. It wasn't off to begin with, and that's why I went through this, but I turned it off. It has been off for the duration of this tutorial. I turned it back on to show you how to turn it the opposite of what it was. I'm turning it back off before I go through this again.
Off.
Now it's back off. I hope this tutorial made some amount of sense. As I do these, I'll no doubt get better at them. Thank you for listening, watching, and I'll talk to you in the next video. Bye.